Christine, remember when you were a kid and you thought that your career was going to be this like perfect straight line trajectory?
Oh my, yes. That is not at all what happened. It ended up being way more of a squiggle than I could have ever imagined. And I am so happy that I embraced all of the squiggles along the way.
All right, welcome back everyone to Embrace the Squiggle, the podcast for anyone whose career or life looks nothing like a straight line. And honestly, this is where all the good stuff happens. We are Colleen.
And Christine.
And this is episode 82 with Lindsay LaBonte. Let's get into it. Hey, Lindsay, how's it going?
I'm great today. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Good. We always start with how we know our podcast person. And I don't even know, but I feel like the first time I met you might have been when we bought this house, which was 12 or 13 years ago. Because I know we took our loan out from your dad, it was back then. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I met you then, but you were a youngin' at that point.
Well, I was almost thinking, when did Dave start helping my dad with the technology when he first opened? Because that was, I don't know. I could have been under 10.
Yeah, Dave claims to know you for when you used to sit like under the table,
Exactly.
right? And meetings and stuff.
We'll keep those stories out of it a little, or maybe we should bring them in.
No, those are the fun ones.
So, all right. Well, let's start off with like little Lindsay. What did you think you were going to be when you were a little kid?
Little Lindsay. Well, originally I was really into horseback riding. So for a little while there was the typical, veterinarian, kind of all the things, I think maybe a teacher, things that kids tend to want to do. But pretty early, I caught on to what my dad did for work. You were just alluding to the family business before in the mortgage company. And I was probably one of the only maybe fourth graders who was like, I want to be a loan officer when I grow up. So that trajectory started pretty early.
Right. And now you have two littles. And so, I wonder if they're going to grow up thinking the same thing. Like, do they want to do what mom does or what dad does?
Yeah. Well, I know. And, it's actually funny. So Charlie's 4.5 and Penny's 3, two daughters. And they know the word mortgage, right? Which is probably kind of odd, first of all.
More than most 4-year-olds, right?
But Charlie actually the other day, she did say, she was like, Mom, when I'm a grown up, I want to go to you with the office or with you to the office for a couple days. And I want to go with dad to the farm for a couple days. And I want to hang out at home for a couple days. I was like, all right, you got it all planned. That sounds like a good life to me. So, but they start catching on super early.
Yeah.
Those sponges.
All right. So you get through high school, you go off to college, and are you still thinking loan officer, or did you kind of change your mind multiple times along that path?
So it's interesting. So actually, when I was 16, so when I was still in high school, that was actually when I first started. And I convinced my dad to let me come and work with him as a summer job. And then the high school that I went to had really cool block scheduling where I could, as long as I had, core classes done, then you could move on and you could either have one of the classes be an internship or you could take classes at different colleges. And so I worked part-time interning with my dad through high school and then into college, was able to actually work pretty much 40 hours a week while also in full-time college. So it never really stopped. There was one semester that I did go to North Carolina, again, with horseback riding. That was kind of one of my passions. And I took a semester off and I went down there and it was awesome. But when I came back, it was just right back into the family business, to the mortgage company.
Nice. What did you study in college?
Oh, I studied, that's a great question. I was legal studies. So I went in as animal science, right? Because I had this idea that, maybe I'll be a vet. And then I realized very quickly I had no interest in actually doing any of the work that veterinarians did. I thought a little bit about potentially doing some kind of law practice. And so I switched my major to legal studies, which I went to UMass, and it's really legal studies was a more broad selection of courses. And I kind of was just like, I don't know exactly what I want to do. I, have this opportunity to keep working in the business. I want a college degree. Maybe I would go to law school later. So that made sense. And then I did end up going to get my master's in business. I took a year or two off between. But yeah, all the while I kept working. I was licensed as a loan officer in 2010. So I was a junior in college, 20 years old, and started helping people with their mortgages officially on the front line. And yeah, it all fell into place. But it's interesting as I was thinking about coming onto this podcast and just career trends, I feel like my parents actually wanted me to really get out and explore and spread my wings and not, just stay at home. Not that that's a bad thing, but I mean, I lived at UMass when I went there, but still, it's the same area, and they wanted me to really see the world. So in a way, it was almost like this struggle of,
Mhm.
well, I really love what I've learned from my dad and what I've learned in the mortgage business, and I'm good at it, and I want to stay and I want to keep working, and it's this whole family legacy, community integrated business that my dad had built that I always just admired. But at the same time, there was also the pressure. My parents are great. So if they listen to this, they're going to be like, we didn't pressure you. But there was definitely that pressure to like make sure that I was still getting a broad range of experiences and traveling and, making sure that I could see the world.
What I'm hearing is expectations. And I'm hearing that you had your own expectations of what you should be doing.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like your parents were very mindful of not putting that pressure on you.
Mm. Yeah, it's definitely been for sure. I think I had that uh concern, right? The self-conscious, that like little monkey on your shoulder
Yeah.
saying, oh, you should be doing something more, you should be leaving the area, don't just be a townie, never wanting to seem like I was riding my dad's coattails in any way.
Mm,
But what was cool is I think ultimately once I got over the insecurity around that, you make these conversations in your head, it's really become more motivation to just always find a way to um, be able to kind of work with my dad rather than for my dad when he was still working, and really be able to bring more value and sort of a different perspective, especially as a young woman loan officer. Most are uh, over 50-year-old males, right, is typically the loan officer stereotype. So yeah, it ultimately ended up being an avenue to really create a different approach.
love that. I love it.
And I also find, right, knowing you and knowing this area, right, that you are so engaged in the community in a way that most companies in general aren't, right? There's a handful
Mm-hmm.
of local companies here that sponsor everything. And you're one of them, right? You're always out in the community.
Mm-hmm.
You're always on the local TV station. You're in the local paper, right? You're doing all of the things. And
Mm-hmm.
that was a mind shift for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's there's a lot of there's a lot of ways to be involved, and it's always difficult to try to navigate where we want to put our time and effort and energy, because what I've realized, especially being in the manager role now, is that we can't say yes to everybody, and that's really hard. um, so there's a lot of pull right, at whether it's my heartstrings or my actual time or whatever financial strain to be able to support and be everywhere, but we do try to do what we can. And that was a shift for me, because I mean, Colleen, because when we coached together, that was in between the two girls. I think I had a really difficult time with my first um, experience being a mom, and I just didn't know what to expect. I don't think you know what to expect being a first time parent
Yeah,
anyway.
no one does.
Yeah, but I had like zero preparation or anticipation that I would need as much help as I needed.
And you
Like they
took
say,
like 3 days off.
I took, yeah, literally 3 days off. I think it was 10. And it was not a good, that was not a good decision. Not good planning. I just thought like, oh, I've been pretty good at everything. I mean, not to sound full of myself, but I'm like, I can figure this out. I'm organized. I'll get it done. And then you throw a kid in the mix and it's like, whew, that is totally different.
So what advice would you give to moms out there thinking, and I know between Canada and the US, time off for maternity or
Mhm.
paternity leave is drastically different.
Mhm.
I'll leave the number. I won't remind you what the number
Yeah.
difference is. But what advice would you give somebody who, I think you only have, say, 3 months, and is thinking of maybe shortening that time? What words of wisdom would you share out?
I don't know if I have words of wisdom, but and here's my experience. So, what's tricky is that here, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're commission earning or whatever, legally you can take the time off. However, it's the financial side that's tricky, right? How are you going to
Yes.
just not work for 3 months? So, yeah, your job's there for you when you come back, or if you own your own business, right? Not working, or if you're commissioned earning, not working for 3 months, that's a big impact on your relationships and future business. So how's that for being a scary thing to think about?
Well, it's good. It's good to bottom line.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. But my second delivery, and when I worked with Colleen, actually was really to prepare for that.
Yeah.
Since I ended up feeling so unprepared the first time around, I think when I met with Colleen, we said, or you probably asked me, how much time do you want to take off? Like, let's put a number to this. And
Mhm.
it ended up being 4 months. And I ended up taking 4 months completely off. So from
Good for
kid
you.
number one for 10 days and going into postpartum depression and just having this terrible, I mean, I love my daughter, obviously, but just not a good headspace, to the second delivery being, okay, going into it, here's my plan, here's my support systems, what are we going to do to make this 4 months come into fruition? Night and day, and hands down it happened. And I thank Colleen so much for that. And we put so much work into getting to that 4 months and actually
Yeah.
having it off. So my advice, back to your question, is I think it's impossible as a first time parent, especially, to even know what support you're going to need. That's the tough part. But I would ideally just take as much time as you possibly can even imagine taking and start working on those goals in advance so that you can take all of that time, because building a family, becoming parents, I mean, it's so special. Not to sound cheesy, but you'll get that time back. You won't miss the work by any
Yeah.
means.
Yeah.
You'll miss your
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
And I
It's
think
giving you. Sorry, go ahead.
oh, the big thing I think, Lindsay, that you did and the hard work that you did was starting to figure out as an entrepreneur, right? As the boss, as the leader, what other people could do, right? That
Mm-hmm.
you didn't have to do it all. Like, what were the things that you could pass on to other people and it would be okay? And
Mm-hmm.
that's a hard shift, be it someone who's a first time manager, or, and I think it's really hard for entrepreneurs. I
Mm-hmm.
read a great article in a class that I was taking that was called Give Away Your Legos. And the
Yeah.
whole article was like, you see many grown-ups with their Legos from when they were a kid sitting on their shelf, and when you try to give them away, people panic. And it's the same way entrepreneurs start to
Mm-hmm.
react when they have to start hiring people.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, oh, I want people to help me and do all these things, but I don't want to give anything away. Like, I want to hold
Yeah.
it all.
Yeah.
And to make that shift for yourself to where you had built a team that you trusted and you knew they would do the work while you were gone and it would be okay.
Right. Right. And what was awesome too, so the StrengthsFinder assessment that you did for us was so huge and so eye-opening, because it made me think about every single thing I do every single day, and I still think about it all the time now. Is this what I'm good at? Is this bringing me joy? And is this bringing me joy being the almost more important piece of the puzzle? Because
Yeah.
what I found is that inherently, when you're doing things you actually really love, you're doing the pieces of the business that you're good at and you like doing, everything else has a way of falling into place, and it's not as much of a struggle. And especially where I'm in sales, it's such a hustle mentality, and it's such an egotistical type of a business inherently, where you think, I've got to have my name in lights. I've got to be the one doing the things, all this. I'm just going to work 16 hours today. And that's what I did from the time I was 16 when I started with my dad until, after my first child was born. It was like I assessed my own success based on how many hours I was putting in. And I never thought about like, well, what do those hours actually mean? And that there's, after having kids, there's such a finite number of hours in the day, right? That time meant so much more to me. And so the strengths assessment was huge to kind of parse out, what do I want to do? And then where does my team need to fall in? How do I get the right people in the right roles so they can kind of fill in the rest of the process, and we all just can lift each other up from there.
Yeah. Mic drop. Like every company needs to hear those last 3 sentences or 4 sentences. It's shocking. I just had a conversation with a client last week, and my question was, how do you celebrate the little wins? He goes, "Oh, we don't."
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
you
And it's
know,
hard because you have your agenda, you have your goals, you have all your things. I mean, and we talk about that all the time on my team still, and I have a great team and I feel like we have this great culture, but no matter how many little wins we have, we always end up focusing on the bad things, right?
I
It's like
know
you have
exactly.
200 5-star reviews and then like one person's a little angry on the phone and it's like, oh, we're terrible. We have to rework our whole system. And I have to remind myself and everybody, no, you know what? If it's 1 out of 200, y'all know what you're doing. We're good at our jobs. We're very, customer oriented and we care about people. Like maybe they were just having a bad day. It cannot always
Exactly.
be on us.
Exactly.
But it's
How
hard.
did how did you learn to delegate? Because I feel like that is a hot topic with leaders and new managers.
Mm-hmm.
They're always, they always, well, my clients are always like, I need to delegate and I need to influence. And it's like, okay, well, let's just peel away that onion right down to the core.
Mm.
So, how did you give yourself permission to begin to loosen your grip and delegate?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think first it's even just realizing how tight the grip is, right? It's like you have to come into, you have to kind of go through the steps of acceptance and then get through the denial. But yeah, so, and then it was an ego shift. I remember conversations with Colleen where we were saying, Colleen had to remind me, I think, and, help me get to this point of realizing that it's not the Lindsay's success plan any longer. If this is going to work, it's the team success. How are we all doing together collectively? How are we moving the needle? And then also on that same theme, it was so important to involve my entire team in all of these decisions. So I frankly went to them, and especially given the whole, pregnancy scenario, I basically was like, hey, my first round was not fun. Like, let's make the second maternity leave better. We've got 9 months. We got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Here's the game plan. And so I think that was a little unusual in that I kind of had a target date. I mean, nobody knows how pregnancy, delivery, whatever is going to go, but knock on wood, thanks to the universe, everything was very on track. And I was like, all right, May 17th is the due date. By April, I want to be totally out of things so we can kind of test drive it for a month before hopefully I'm off to my maternity leave. And getting the team to be on the same page and getting their buy-in. And we did the strengths assessment with my whole team, and we shared that together. And Colleen, you did some workshops with us, and so everybody, and I have a wonderful group, they just were totally on board. And we played to all of their strengths too. So the whole purpose of it, it wasn't just how do we make my life easier so I can take 4 months. It was also how do we make all of your roles what you want to be doing. At this point, now these people have been with me for over 10 years, most of them. And actually we need to kind of do this regroup periodically. We've done it a few times since, and it's always so refreshing because we're all working together to achieve the big picture goal and make it feel better for each person individually too, playing to their strengths.
And when you explain that to people, it's shocking how many people don't have that perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, because everyone's so used to here's your roles, here's your tasks, push these buttons, do these things, and it's like this can kind of be fun too. And we also have a lot of leniency, I think, with again, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm all these things. I know sometimes stuff comes up, and even though my team technically some of them are 9 to 5 salaried, if they're like, I need to come in 30 minutes late, fine, work 30 minutes another time. I don't know if HR is supposed to, be psyched about me saying that, but we have a very flexible schedule. And I think that also caters to working to people's strengths and creating that better environment.
And even just
Yeah.
thinking of the field you're in, right? It
Mm-hmm.
actually serves your customers better when you're willing to do
Mm-hmm.
that. Right? Because
Exactly.
most people are working Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, right? Like they might
Exactly.
need someone to meet them on nights or weekends to sign off
Exactly.
on things. And right. So
Yeah.
not only are you helping your staff, like you're also building a better business because your customers
Mm-hmm.
are happier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it was so just back to Colleen, when you were mentioning about being out in the community and sponsoring all these events and doing all this stuff, when we started working together too, it was difficult for me, or not difficult. I didn't feel super comfortable being necessarily that face, that point person, the one that was out there, promoting everything. And I knew in order to kind of get to the next level, or sort of extract myself from the day to day, right? I needed to elevate and to become the more of the face that way. And when we peeled off all the other, I don't want to say menial, but kind of maybe things
Tasky.
I didn't, yeah, just things that I didn't necessarily need to be doing, I actually felt so relieved that now I want to go out and do the presentations and do the, extra networking and the radio shows and the podcasts and whatever else, because I don't have the rest of the stuff that I didn't even realize wasn't making me feel good and wasn't making me as productive, like holding me back from that. So it's all connected. And yeah, that strengths assessment is absolutely gold.
And I think it just goes back to that as a business owner too, right? Often you want to be involved in everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like you want to be able to say, I know everything that's going on all the time. But once you start realizing that you trust your team and that
Mm-hmm.
you know that for you, it was like, the strengths of your team, how good they are at what they do. It's a lot easier to step back and say, okay, I know they got this, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can handle this without me. Right.
Right.
Now you can take a vacation and not even think twice about it because they could
Yeah.
last 4 months without you. They can last a week without you.
Yes. And it's so confidence building for them. And I truly mean it when I tell them that. I went on a 10-day vacation just in the beginning of June. And this was actually, we had moved parent companies. So we've got some different structures and processes and everything. And this was kind of my first time away. And we moved in April. So it's only been a few months, couple months. And I was like, I'm keeping this vacation because I had it planned. And, leading up to it, I'm like, all right, everyone knows their order and when I'm off, what to do. And I had one phone call that I chose really to handle. And otherwise, 10 days, brand new technology set up for my whole team, brand new everything. They just ran with it for 10 days, no interruptions. And so that's amazing to me.
Well, and it's not just confidence building for your team, it's confidence building for you too.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It feels good. I guess we're allowed to say that, right?
Absolutely. If it doesn't feel good, then what are we doing?
Yeah,
Right? It's like
exactly.
life is too short to
Yeah.
be miserable 40 hours or whatever you're working per week, right?
Completely.
So if you can
Yeah.
find those things that like you really enjoy that give you energy that you show up and you're excited to do every day, it
Mm,
makes work so much better.
yeah.
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 And not enough people give themselves permission to do that.
Hmm. Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
Colleen, I think I don't remember if it was on one of our coaching sessions or maybe a presentation that I heard you do, but you'd mentioned just taking something, so say someone's listening to this and they're listening to me say all these, oh, I changed my whole schedule and life's all hunky dory. And they're like, well, yeah, that's easy for you because you're the manager, right? Somebody who's maybe working in a different position that doesn't have as much control over their role, what do you do? And I think you had said at one point, just how can you make your day a little bit better, a little bit more in your own control, a little bit more boundaries, like take your 15-minute lunch break or bathroom break or whatever and go read a book if that's the thing you love, or go outside and garden if that's what makes you happy. And I've had to remind myself of that, especially the bathroom breaks, like go, or go read 10 pages of a book, and then you come back, and it's amazing how just those little tiny changes incrementally can really lead to just such happier work environment.
Well, and it's energy management. Colleen and I have bantered on that topic a number of times. And I know, my clients, the majority of them don't know how to manage their own energy. Even in their personal lives with family and partners and all of that, that everybody wants to separate personal and professional. And yes, absolutely, there's boundaries and there's a little bit of shift of persona in terms of how we show up maybe with family versus in our professional life, but it's so intertwined. And, just to support and to add on to what you just said, Lindsay, is when you can learn how you operate from the inside out, managing your energy, knowing what you need to be at your best. I mean, it's an absolute game changer. It's an absolute game changer.
Yeah. And there's different seasons. That's the other thing I've learned. Maybe it's after having kids. It's like, you think you figure it out and you've got to shift it a little bit, but it all just going back to the kind of reassessing. And I had my husband do the StrengthsFinder too. And it's really, I mean, we work really well together, and I have my strengths, he has his, and it's like, just kind of integrating that into all relationships really makes a difference.
Absolutely. Because, and I'm taking the StrengthsFinder's stage from Colleen here, but it's my understanding. I'm not certified, but I've looked at lots of assessments and had lots of conversations. My understanding is, Colleen, and you can totally correct me if I get this wrong, is that some of the strengths can clash.
I mean, Gallup will say no.
No?
Gallup actually says that there are no opposites and that there are no kind of clashing. I think it's more, I don't know that I agree with Gallup on that, but I think it's more like your perspective is different, right? I think of myself as a maximizer.
I like that way.
Right?
Okay.
Like,
I like
for
that.
me, my perspective is always, we can take this and make it better. Now, if you have consistency as your number one strength, you're like, why can't we leave it the same? It's working well, right? So our perspectives about how we approach things are different. And I think that's where the clashing can come
when
in.
you don't understand why somebody's showing up.
Right? We always talk about, this is why we hire Lily, our fabulous producer, right? Because we don't want to deal with things. Like, I'd be terrible at editing these. Because of my maximizer, it would take me 900 hours every week to do this, because every time I'd be like, wait, one better. Wait, I don't want to hit publish because we can make it better. Right. Where I'm not the right person to do that, because I know I will get stuck there.
Right. You need the person on your team that's going to balance you and hit the submit button.
Right. Because I'm not hitting that submit button. I'm changing it 300 times.
Yeah.
And then Christine is throwing her hands up in the air going, oh, fuck it, I can't stand this stuff. And she won't ever hit publish, or she'll hit publish 2 seconds in and then be like, I'm done.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know where consistency lands for me, but yes, I would get to the start.
Number 34.
I don't know where consistency is for me. I would get to the finish line a hell of a lot quicker than Colleen. Yes.
Yep.
Yes, I would.
Oh, that's fun. But you know that about each other. So that's why, everything's perfect.
Yeah. Right. It's how teams work better together. None of us are the same. None of us are going to approach things the same way. And if you know that about people, it's a lot easier to work with them.
Definitely.
And for yourself, it's a lot easier to put yourself in a job that feels good.
Right.
And when you don't get you can self-manage your own triggers too.
Right.
Like when I get a Google Doc sent to me 14 times, I'm just like, whatever. She's fiddling. She changed something in there. I'll read it. I'll just wait for it. I'll just wait for it to stop refreshing.
When do you actually look at this? Right.
But it makes when I know and understand what it is, then I'm not, I can. I've never not had to self-manage my triggers on something like that, because I just know. But it does. It makes my life much more calm and peaceful. And it's like, eventually she'll be done, tweaking this and tweaking that.
And that's the key of what you just said, calm and peaceful. Like, that's how, when I realize something is when I'm feeling stressed about my day or my calendar, I'm like, okay, this is just not sitting right. It's time to go and look and say, what is causing that feeling? Where can we reset the boundaries? What can we control?
Mhm.
Someone what is it? He says, control the controllables, right? That
Yes.
like, what can you just tweak and change? And I think that's so empowering to be able to take a step back and just kind of reflect on it and figure out what needs to move a little bit to really be catering to your
Mhm.
strengths instead of stuff that you just don't want to be doing.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
the creativity comes in. How can you figure out another way to get that thing done? Especially with AI, that's a whole other conversation. But, how can you, it
Mhm.
doesn't have to cost money. It doesn't have to be another team member. It can just be, where's the technology that can help us do this?
Well, and bringing your team to the table and having a fun conversation.
Yes.
I
Exactly.
feel like a lot of teams have lost the joy and fun.
Well, and I think it's there, right? There's always a shift. It doesn't matter if it's AI or something different. And I mean, just bringing it into this conversation, I was at a conference recently, and one of the folks was talking about AI and how it's transforming the financial industry. And
Mhm.
one of the folks on the panel was talking about how they're writing algorithms for AI to be able to do SBA loans faster.
Yeah.
For anyone who's ever
Oh,
applied for an
crazy.
SBA loan, they take forever because there's so many hoops to jump through. And one of the big banking US banks is starting to look at how can we use AI to help us get the information and pull out the information we need so we can make better decisions faster. And
Mhm.
like that's the
Mhm.
amazing thing with some of these tools.
Yeah.
It's not about right replacing people's jobs. It's how do we help people do some of those jobs that were no fun to begin with. Like
Right.
how can we help get things to that next level?
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
It's unbelievable potential. Yeah,
Yep.
definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. I love this.
All right. Do you want to jump into our rapid fire
You want me to?
questions,
Oh,
Christine? Or do you want me
sure.
to? Do you got them open? There
I've
you
got
go.
them here.
Nice.
Okay. So we love to just spend a few extra minutes at the end to get to know you a little bit more on the personal side. Okay, let's see here. If you were to get a tattoo, what would it be?
I have no tattoos and I'm
Me neither.
actually planning on sticking to that. So,
Ah!
yeah, there would not be one. My husband, on the other hand, I could tell him what to get and he'd get it for me.
I love that. That is an okay answer. What is your favorite place on earth?
My favorite place on earth that I've been so far is, oh, you know what? Right now it's my home. I know that's such a
Mm,
cheesy answer, but like our kids are at such a fun age and we just did a bunch of traveling, but when we got home I was like, it feels good to be at home based. And we'll go see the world and do more things, but it's what a privilege, right? To be able to say that too. I mean, yeah.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. What are you binging on TV or streaming on TV right now?
Oh, I just last night turned on Georgia and Ginny.
I
So
started that
I binged it a little too long last night, a little tired.
season. Oh, I'm on season 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
series.
it's
Good, good.
good series.
Sometimes I just
Yeah,
need something. I mean, it's good, bad, but good, right? But I need something that's just like on in the background while I'm catching up late at night or whatever, and that's a great one.
I know, I know.
I mean, at least you
And
didn't say that like Bluey was what you were binging these
Oh
days
well,
because,
it's
you
there's
know,
Daniel Tiger and Bluey, and yes, Miss Rachel.
I love that. What book recommendation do you have for our listeners?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm just gonna go the total like non-educational route here with both TV and reading. I completely jumped on the fantasy book reading bandwagon. So
Oh,
I read the whole ACOTAR series, I read the whole Throne of Glass series, the whole universe, and I'm on to many, many other ones. And it's nice. I think if you want to do the self-help books and the educational books and
yeah.
all that, do it. But if you just want a break, you go have that break and read something romanticy.
I tried. I think
What did
it's
you
Lauren
say?
like
didn't Lauren didn't convince you, Christine, to get onto
no.
those.
Oh, that's right. I follow Lauren.
Yeah,
What,
because
Oh,
she was one of our
book
first
club,
guests.
right?
She's who got me onto
Yes.
the Sarah J.
Yes.
Maas
Yes.
series.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
fun. Oh yeah, she has
No.
a great page.
Oh my goodness. I try. It's still live. Like it's still there hanging
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
I just oh, it's on my Kindle actually.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, so it's not for everybody. I was
No.
not a fantasy reader at all. I mean, I didn't even love Harry Potter when I read it. I love the movies, but I just never. And then all of a sudden, my roommate from college was like, "You're gonna think I'm really weird, but I need you to download this book about fairies." And she's like, "It's
Yeah.
not the fairies you think; they're different fairies."
Oh, I don't know. I'll keep going back. I'll keep trying. I haven't even done Harry Potter, all of it.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
no. I went on a bit of a road trip adventure yesterday and I did have an audiobook called Mile High. There's 3 books and I can't even remember what the author is, but it was very good.
Yeah.
I can't wait to drive home for 5
Mile
hours.
High. I'll have to check that
Mile
one.
High. Yeah. Well, yes. It's a bit offside if you like offside.
Okay.
But we'll leave it at that. Okay. So thank you. Thank you so much, Lindsay. This was a great conversation.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
you being our guest
Thank you
today.
for having me.
No, you're
Lots of fun.
welcome. Yes, always. It's always lots of fun. And you, of course, can follow Embrace the Squiggle on Instagram and TikTok. And we love seeing all of your reviews on Apple Podcasts. So please keep them coming. Colleen, I think we've done a bit of a shout out for Apple. And I believe we've gotten the last of our needed reviews to bump us.
We
Bump us a
always
level.
need more, but we
But
got
we need more.
5 reviews this week. I was just
I
trying to
loved
pull it
it.
up because some of them were fantastic. If I was
Really? Okay.
organized, I would have been able to read you one of them. But
Oh, okay. Next time
next
we'll
time.
share. I'll have to go and check that out. And Lindsay, are you on social media? Do you have? Yeah. Where can our listeners find you?
You can find us at Applied Mortgage is our handle on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I think everything is just /Applied Mortgage.
Okay, amazing. We'll make sure everything's linked in our show notes.
Awesome.
And this week's Embrace the Squiggle podcast is brought to you by Christine Thody Coaching and Consulting, offering life, career, leadership, and executive coaching, all rooted in authenticity. So make sure you follow and subscribe and share this episode with someone else who's in the middle of their own squiggly journey. And hey, if no one's told you today, you're exactly where you need to be. So thanks so much again, Lindsay, for joining us.
is it time for you to add a little squiggle to your career? Join us every week to hear from another guest talk about how they embrace the squiggle.
Subscribe now and find your inspiration.